As the Clone Wars progressed, it always followed the same methodology. The Galactic Republic and Separatists would be at a near stalemate until some new offensive by the Separatists would take the Jedi and clones by surprise. Republic forces are pushed back, perhaps put into a dire situation with a major planet or installation about to fall. Somehow, the Jedi or clone forces find a way to hold the line and ultimately are able to restore balance. Rarely, the Republic would gain some advantage by this, but it wouldn't last. And so, the cycle would continue with the Battle of Anaxes. Anaxes, a prominent and important shipyard to the Republic, was invaded by the Separatist fleet. The Galactic Republic responded, of course, and like we've seen, would slowly start losing. However, this time it felt very different. The Separatists somehow could not only counter the Republic attacks, but anticipate them, and appeared to know exactly what they were thinking. Captain Rex, second officer of the 501st Army, was puzzled by this new circumstance. He recognized the patterns and decided to request a reconnaissance operation to the Anaxes Separatist Cyber Center, basically the hive mind of operations for the Separatists. He wanted to determine why the droids were having this advantage. Though, why the Republic didn't instantly try to destroy cyber centers when they recognized them is beyond me. It would seem that would win wars, but hey, I'm not a military officer. Back to the subject at hand though, as I noted, Rex would recognize that all of the operations he was conducting, the droids were effectively countering. And these were the exact same plans he had discussed with an ARC trooper named Echo. Echo had been presumed killed during a rescue operation at the Citadel to save a wayward Jedi. And of course, after you've discussed intricate battle plans, especially if you think they've been compromised by the enemy, you definitely don't change your tactics up. That is way too forward-thinking and something no military officer would ever do. So Rex would be stuck having to determine if the droids had somehow gotten the information from the late ARC trooper versus changing what he knows wasn't working. After discussing the plan to infiltrate the center with their Jedi leaders, Commander Cody tasked Clone Force 99 to assist Rex and company in the infiltration. Clone Force 99, named after a malformed maintenance clone who died while defending Kamino during an invasion, was a batch of clones that had mutations deemed to be desirable for combat but made them odd. They called themselves the Bad Batch. The Special Forces unit often had issues with normal clone troopers, those they deemed regs or regular clones. This would be seen between members of the Bad Batch and the clone troopers during the entire infiltration and future operations. Commander Cody, Captain Rex, 2 other clones, and the Bad Batch are soon dispatched behind enemy lines. Their gunship would be shot down en route by spider droids. After the crash, Wrecker would literally move the wreckage of the LAATI gunship off of Cody to save him. Understandably, the commander would be hurt having a gunship on top of him. Before they could adequately regroup, a large contingent of droids would attack the vulnerable position of the clones. The Bad Bunch utilized Plan 82 to disable this attacking force. It involved Wrecker using debris to protect the clones as Tech calculated precise coordinates for Hunter to throw an EMP grenade that is shot by Crosshair. This would disable a large part of the defensive force before the Bad Bunch moved into close quarters to finish the droids off, including spider droids. After the battle, the clones would escape, and Admiral Trench, leader of the Separatist fleet invading Anaxes, sent Special Forces droids to determine how the clones had won. After analyzing the tactics used, these droids had determined that the clones were irregular and unpredictable. Admiral Trench, realizing the target was ultimately the Cyber Center, sent a warning to them so they could prepare for an attack. While all of this was going on, the clones set up a small base camp and called for evacuation of Cody, who couldn't continue due to his injuries. After some resistance, Rex takes command of the Bad Batch and they move forward with the plan. The clones overrun a nearby outpost and analyze the defenses of the Cyber Center. With this information, a plan of attack is determined, the clone unit splitting up. A small contingent of the clones would attack from the front of the installation, drawing all of the forces away, while the rest of the clones snuck in through the back. Wrecker would move through the installation behind the droids that were in front and able to create a crossfire and ultimately destroying the security forces of the Cyber Center. During this time, Rex and Tech would attempt to determine if the droids were using the same algorithm that Rex had been using for the Battle of Anaxes. Tech would discover that the plans were indeed in the network, but being transmitted from another planet. From the transmission, they could barely hear a human voice that would continue to repeat the same words over and over. CT-1409, Echo's CT number. During this time, droid reinforcements were on the move to the data center to liberate it from the clone forces. The drones would chase the clones away from the installation and back into clone-controlled territory. However, the special forces had discovered what they needed to. One of their own had been captured and was being used by the Separatists to win the war. And this captured prisoner of war was on a planet with a government and organization that had claimed that it was neutral in the entire conflict.